Yeah, this video's not about Zippos. I actually do stuff like that, so I know which video is which video by looking at it, because I don't actually know how to do any computer shit. So, surrender. This is a very weird thing that came up. In Carl Jung psychology, the male masculinity is guarded by, like, the king, the wizard, the warrior, and the lover, I think. Uh, and these guardians of masculinity, you're supposed to question them on the things they want you to do. And I was speaking to the warrior because I kind of feel like that's kind of the guy you need, right? And it suggested I surrender. Now, Carl Jung shit, you're supposed to bring these things, these, whatever they are you're speaking to, into reality, making them real. To which, surrender from a warrior. And I had a big, long, deep thought about surrender. The first question I had was, why does surrender to me feel like death? I've been fighting trauma. My brain, inherently, when I'm trying to learn something, writing, reading, numbers, whatever, perceives them as a threat, and it's been fighting that. I've been fighting dickheads from the backside of my body almost my entire life. Assholes coming into my life to ruin it. And then this guy's like, just stop fighting. When I was president of these people, I had this really funny moment where I was talking to the wives, and they said basically they needed to know which members of the non-members to kill. And I said, stop killing, and they were like, stop killing! And they were like, offended that I told them to stop killing people. That's how, when I tell you that murdering people is like drinking water for these people, like, that's not a joke. Murdering people is like drinking water for these people. Okay. I think this is an ego identity crisis. I think it's kind of like, I just watched the Cinema Guys, and the one therapy dude was like, I'm a member of the church. I guess, just like me, he might not have an identity outside of being a member of their church. And that's a big thing with religious idiots. Like, my identity is my religion. I'm that guy that's known as the crazy religious friend. And you're... Did you ever think about being something else out of something I want to stab in the neck? Well, surrender often feels like death because it involves the death of the ego, the part of yourself built on control, expectations, and specific identity. When you stop fighting to maintain this version of yourself, the brain can register the loss of control as a survival threat, trigger intense fears similar to psychological danger. Why surrender feels like dying? Death of the ego. We often identify ourselves through our jobs, relationships, and possessions. Letting go of these attachments can feel like losing your very existence because the ego's job is to reinforce that it exists through control. Remember, the ego is like nothing but control. Survival instincts. The brain often confuses safety with familiarity. Letting go of a known situation, even a painful one, requires entering the unknown, which your nervous system may interpret as a life-threatening free fall. Loss of the illusion of control. Surrender requires admitting powerlessness over a situation or outcome. For many, this feels like a metaphorical death because they are relinquishing the fantasy of certainty they once relied on for security. I have serious problems trusting the court system. Grief for what was for what was. Releasing a dream, a relationship, or a version of your future is a form of grief. This process involves the same emotional weight as mourning a physical death. I'm getting tired of just getting hurt all the time, honestly. I don't know about... Yeah. So I guess who am I if I'm not just hating these bastards, which I've been doing for the past 2 or 3 years as a pseudo-psychological treatment, which is probably more of a distraction than it is actually develop. Once again, you should never give yourself psychological help. Blondie's plan was stupid to begin with, and it was literally setting somebody up for failure. Whether he cares or not, even though I told them not to do this to this guy, you don't know what you're doing, it's a bad idea. To which they said, it's a good idea because I came up with it, and I think I'm a 2-year-old, and nobody's ever told me I'm wrong. You're wrong about everything. The psychological and mental shift. When surrendering occurs, it can lead to ego dissolution, where the boundaries between the self and the world fade. While this can be terrifying, it often leads to a shift in consciousness where a person moves from survival mode to a state of radical acceptance and peace. Literally sounds like death. If you know anything about death, it's apparently extremely peaceful. Which is why you should be like, oh God, I'm gonna die! Oh! Which probably won't actually help you in that kind of situation. Perspective on death of the self. Community members' research often describes this transition as profound solitary journey. Surrender feels like death because part of me is in fact dying. Everything that was control, pretense, or judgment seems to be dying. My ego. It removes the pain you feel that is construction of your nervous system in relationship to feeling resistance. We must accept the metaphorical death of the ego, or who we think we are, to experience our true nature, spacious, peaceful, and free. Letting go of an idea to let go of control. The ego's job is to reinforce existence. One of those ways the ego reinforces intense existence of control. And then I asked, and then I said to the AI, you see, the ego's a motherfucker. It is. Because I've said it before, it fools you into believing it's not there. And then you don't know it's there because you're dumb enough to believe it's not there. Blondie is guilty of this in spades, and so is every church leader is guilty of that in spades. Anytime you're trying to control anything, it is an ego thing. Okay, that is the earliest sign that you're having an ego problem. And if you're ever like, you're probably experiencing ego takeover, ego inflation, as Carl Jung said. I asked, well, during the Dark Night of the Soul, I already experienced the death of the ego. Remember, I went through Anhedonia. And the AI replied, the belief that the ego should completely disappear after the Dark Night of the Soul is one of the most common misconceptions in spiritual growth. In reality, the ego is a necessary tool for human existence. Without it, you couldn't function, distinguish your body from others, or even recognize when you are hungry. Literally, ego controls hunger. What the shit? Apparently. Why you still have an ego? The ego is an operating system. Just as a computer needs an OS to run programs, you need an ego. The I thought to navigate the physical world. It is a survival program that remains active as long as you are in a physical body. Awakening versus annihilation. The spiritual awakening is typically the beginning of an enrollment rather than a final graduation. It changes the relationship to the ego rather than deleting it. You start to see the ego as a costume or a tool rather than your identity. The shadow still exists. Some traditions view the ego as the shadow self, which can never truly die. Instead of being destroyed, it is meant to be understood, embraced, and integrated with the higher mind. The returning grip. It is common for the ego to get back up for breakfast. to get back up for breakfast. The morning after a profound experience, it often puts up a last-ditch effort to maintain control when it feels threatened by the unknown. In the Dark Knight was effective. What actually changes? In the Dark Knight was effective. The ego is still there, but its role has shifted. From driver to passenger, the ego moves from driving seat to the passenger seat. You no longer let fears and attachments dictate your core decisions. Awareness of the mask. You are now aware of the game the ego plays, seeking validation, judgment, and fear. Because you see them, they lose their power to blindside you. Reframing the I, you recommend that I am is a stable presence that exists prior to, during, and thoughts or feelings the ego generates. Integration after the Dark Knight. You may still feel stuck in limbo where the oscillation between the soul-led moment and old ego programming. This normal stage of integration where the psyche reorganizes around a deeper level of truth. You see, I vaguely remember Anal Eaten Mummy God speaking about that this guy who was me is gonna have to face, because he's not willing to face true death, he has to face a metaphorical death. And I guess that's what prison is it's a metaphorical death. And maybe, I believe I mentioned this before in other videos, I just got wrapped up in fighting my own trauma and fighting with myself and fighting everything, because apparently that's just what I do, is I fight. What I'm reminded of is Eren Yeager in Attack on Titan, when he looks in the mirror and he's like, fight, just fight. And everybody misunderstands Attack on Titan as an anime, because it's literally about what happens in a fascist mindset. Eren literally wants to become control. He wants nothing but control. And the only thing control leads to is ultimate destruction of everything. So he fights his way into becoming the super titan, the god titan. And then, in his own self-sabotage, lets his friends keep their Titan forms, and enables his friends to kill him, because he knows it's the only way it could possibly end, because he's gone. Because he's dedicated everything for this, and there's no reason to stop, because he's already here. That is, the lesson of Attack on Titan. That's why when he talks to Armin at the end, he tells him, I'm a fool with power, I'm an idiot. Then he starts crying, and he's standing in the blood ocean. He's standing in the land of destruction he created, because he just wanted freedom, but freedom is a concept. So, yeah, I don't know. I didn't realize that this is that stupid shit. If it's not perfectionism, if it's not trauma, if it's not my nervous system, if it's not the splenomegalia or whatever the fuck, if it's not choline or acetylcholine low levels, it's something else, and 90% of whatever the fuck is wrong with me is always what these people did, and then they just don't take agency for anything they do. They fix it, which, okay, fine, but full game, guys. Whatever. Let's not talk about plans. So, surrender. Yeah. Surrender, like, how does surrender, in my brain, it's like, how does surrender equal winning? How does giving up, like, yeah. I got nothing. I got like a burning headache right now. These are just my thoughts for now, I guess is what I'm saying. I'm not sure how to process this exactly. Because I fought my way through these people. Every fucking thing they put in my way, I fought through it. And I think about even the shit with Anal Eating Mummy God. He's all leader, leader, leader. Like, how the fuck does surrendering make you a good leader? What the fuck is that? That just sounds like some weak person bullshit. Like, oh, whatever, man. Fucking. Just give up, man. Let them have their way. Maybe they're not disgusting, awful human beings that eat people's brains, rape little kids, and have no morals and values. Maybe you got it all wrong. But I think about these cinema guys, and I'm just going to do this real quick because they keep doing it to me. Perspective taking. Okay, I remember if you were raped in the ass, you were neglected by your parents, they didn't fucking care about you, and no, you're not the only person that has mommy issues there, Cinema Man. And you're not the only person that has daddy issues, by the way, other Cinema Man. And your church creates that in people because neglect is their favorite pastime. And just like you, I was neglected, but unlike you, instead of just taking it in the ass, I caused problems. That is the difference between me and you. And yes, every one of you is emotionally stunted, and you should deeply be ashamed of that, and that is directly associated with your religion. So if you're like, oh, my religion's amazing, also explain to people the mental crisis it calls and how mentally unstable you are. But also explain the reason why whenever you go anywhere you come off as fake is because you're extremely traumatized and you just have a facade that covers everything up. And because of all the trauma you experience, you understand how horrible the world is and how bad everything is, so you want to try to fix at least one or two people. Congratulations. I'm glad you want to fix one or two people instead of slaying the beast that causes the problems to fucking begin with. And I want to talk about that because guess what's a big part of this fucking stupid fucking Christian movement? Assaulting women and creating toxic fucking body positive cultures where they tell fat bitches you're ugly and all that other fucking shit and a bunch of other shit, and it's all based in control. It's all about making other people feel bad. It's all about making them feel horrible, because when you have insecurities, capitalism can capitalize on your insecurities. That's what it's all about. So don't come here and go, oh, take my perspective, here's your perspective. My only identity is being a member of this church. It's my only skill. Oh boy, everybody should be terrified because the identity and walk away and develop an individual identity separate from the human trafficking ring, and stop calling it a church, stop calling it religion, stop calling it faith. You are a trained soldier who was neglected and raped in the ass and subjected to some of the worst things that you could possibly be subjected to for one purpose: defend the human trafficking ring and make sure the church leader gets to rape as many women as he wants and eat and kill and eat as many brains as he wants, and he gets to have sex with all the babies, because at the end of the day, just like him, his daddy didn't love him, so the only thing he wants is control because he grew up in an unsafe world. There's your perspective. That's what I think of all of you. And no, I'm not impressed, because when you look at that guy that's sitting beside you in the church, he's the same person as you. He's not special, he's not unique, he's not an individual, and he's not any different. It's called not having a personality. Whatever, man. These are just my thoughts for now. I didn't really want to have these thoughts for now, honestly, because you know what, screw it, it's always something.